Mary Foley, Staff Officer here in Ardkeen Library. You have a great exhibition at the minute featuring stuff that the E.SB would have provided way back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and even on into the early 70s. Now we're talking about the likes of washing machines and kettles and electric fires and all that went with it. I'm looking at a thing here that's framed. It says, "Who said love, honour and carry water?" Question mark. And you have a woman with a pail here just leaving the well, let's say. She says, "Drudgery is out of date. The days when water carrying was an essential chore are gone. Let an electric pump provide you all the water you need automatically, economically. Full details are available at your E.SB office." Things have changed a bit.
Things have very much changed a bit. We have the two pails here. The blue one was for the dirty water, and the white one was for the clean one. That's what he informed us of. And the washboard is here as well, and then we've moved up from the 40s, 50s, 60s washing machines on display. We also have the kettles, which the E.SB rented out in the early days.
Imagine that. They actually rented kettles.
They rented kettles, yeah, I'm just reading about it here. They rented kettles, and there's a letter here, and it's dated November 1946. It's to a customer: "Dear Sir, Madam, the board has decided to terminate the hireage of all electric kettles and to offer to sell such kettles as are on hire to the present hires for the nominal sum of..."
Four shillings?
4 shillings. In the case of 3-point kettles, 5 or 6 shillings. In the case of 6-point kettles, so on and so on.
Yeah.
That's gas. It's just they used to hire the kettles up until 1946.
It's hard to even have a concept of that, isn't it?
It is really, when you look at a kettle and how useful it is these days.
And the coffee pot over there, we thought it was a trophy kettle. I've never seen a coffee pot like it.
It is rather glamorous, all right, isn't it?
It caught our eye on the way in. Now it's in the form of a high trophy, let's just say, with a handle on it and a spout on it. But it is an actual kettle.
It is a kettle. That's
very
what I was informed by the gentleman who gave this talk last night, Bernard O'Connell, who was an E.SB worker and was in houses fitting and cabling and became a supervisor eventually, and he retired, and all of this stuff is his.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a real walk through modern history here.
It is.
Now, you were interested in the washing machines here particularly, Yvonne.
The wash machines, I think, looking at the wash machines, there's 3 of them here on display. They kind of remind me, like I'm in my late 30s, they remind me of the schmeg stuff that you see out now, you know, the fridges and the retro stuff. Yeah, that's all coming back in, but these are fabulous. I'm really intrigued looking at, you were calling it a mangler or a wringer.
Explain what that is.
Yeah, the wringer is where you actually pressed all the water out of the clothes and it went back into the tub. Now, before you started washing, you actually had to fill the tub with the water.
Okay.
Manually, so it probably heated and then thrown in and washing was done.
And you had this big cone-shaped thing in the middle which just basically revolved, shook the clothes around, got the dirt out of them, hopefully, and then you had no real spin cycle, I suppose, as such. You probably drained it and let it off a bit. But the mangle, wringer, call it what you will, these 2 rollers very close together on top of that, had its own, let's say, pearls.
It had its serious perils. My younger brother, an electric one was fitted to our one we had at home. My younger brother almost lost the tips of his 3 little fingers. He was only about 3 at the time, but luckily he didn't. Mum actually hit the switch first.
My God, saved in the nick of time. I tell you, you've no idea how lucky you are, Yvonne.
I really don't, and I'm actually standing here thinking about it. You really do feel like you're kind of, under pressure when you're working and you're trying to get the washing on, and we have a dryer to dry clothes if the weather is awful out there. Like, looking at these, you really do appreciate what we have now, in comparison to back in the 1940s, 50s and 60s.
It's true, and I do remember my mother using something like this. It was probably a little bit more modern looking. Don't think the tumble in it was quite as big. But here beside it we have the photograph of how it's actually connected up in the electrics that you can't see it. Yeah, the drive mechanism of the whole thing.
Wow. Over in the corner here you have a telly.
Yes.
It's about what? I would say it's about 10 inches wide, maybe?
Possibly. I hadn't
black
measured
and white,
it. It's definitely black and white, and we should have it running, but I haven't turned it on yet this morning.
It actually works.
It does, yes. It has all the old E.SB advertisements that used to be on the television from quite a year. But just imagine sitting in the parlour as it would have been with the television there, and everybody would have been very close to a little screen like that.
Yeah.
Both to hear and see it, yeah.
And state-of-the-art and amazing.
State-of-the-art.
Pictures flickering in front of your eyes. Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece of furniture.
It's a beautiful piece of furniture. It's so well made. That's the other big thing about it. Well, listen, the exhibition is part of Heritage Week. How long is it going on here at Ardkeen Library?
It's the full week here. He's leaving it here until next Monday. He'll be back.
Right.
He'll be back on Monday for it. So we're open 10 until 5:30 and on a Tuesday until 8:30.
And it's free. So we urge you to come in and have a look. It'll be worth a browse.
Absolutely, it's so worth the browse. Like, I mean, the school holidays are up this week. If you're out with the kids, it will be just fantastic for them to come in and see the equipment here going back to the 1940s, 50s and 60s, and then the fabulous library. It's buzzing here today. The service is great. It'll be a great place to come.
Well, as we say, Mary, it's living history. So listen, well done to you and yours in connection with all the crew here at Ardkeen Library.
It's Bernard is the main man.
Well, fair dues.
That he did a great job
well
last
on all
night.
your services here at Ardkeen Library. It's a great
We're
place
very
to
proud
be.
of it.
Great.
Very
well,
proud
thank you
of it.
for talking to us.
You're very welcome.